Hey everybody, what's going on? How are we doing out there? Let me know if you guys can hear me okay. All right, we are Thursday, the 30th of October. Great to have everyone here. Appreciate you guys flexing and getting here on Thursday instead of Friday. Tomorrow night was not going to be able to happen for me. So, hey, Nick, what's going on, man? Great to have you here. What's going on, Mark, Becky, Jasmine, Lisa? Okay, good. Oh, yeah, no problem. Awesome. Good to hear. Visual good, audio good. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, we're going to rock and roll. Appreciate it, guys. Thank you for the feedback. We got a good one today. Going to be a lot of fun. And today we are going to be talking about a bunch of different stuff, but really leading off into it, we're going to talk about Tim Burton and how he made weird work, okay? And how he made weird work and how he took misfits and made it into magic and his whole interesting weird world out there, all right? And just the things that we can learn, keeping with the Halloween spirit. I thought there's probably not many more Halloween-like people than Tim Burton. So what kind of leadership lessons can we gather from him? So we're going to take a look at his leadership secrets behind billion dollar properties that he made with all of his movies and his films. We're going to talk about the latest, greatest news headlines. Of course, we're going to be hitting up the latest leadership lessons from South Park and end it on a very strong note. You guys have to hold on tight for the last videos I have. Stick around for these at the end as well, too. But let's go ahead and let's get right into this. And let's go. We're going to talk about Tim Burton right now, okay? And how Tim Burton took his, dark, gothic, maverick, unusual, unique type of art and a bunch of misfits and made it work, made it into magic and created billions, okay? And I think he's got a net worth of probably about $100 million himself after a few L's he took as well. But overall, huge success. So let's get right into this and rock and roll. Here we go.
I had a teacher who used to say to me, "Show me something I never saw before." That's what Tim does every time.
He's a visionary. He's an artist.
Tim was making films in high school. You could see that he had kind of an off-center aesthetic.
Tim literally draws his way through life.
Everything you can't imagine, he drew.
We found hundreds of drawings for unrealized projects.
Even for momentous occasions. I'd be having a child, he would still sketch.
Tim has all the words inside, sometimes they don't come out.
Not being able to communicate compelled Tim to communicate through filmmaking.
His movies inspire, it gives comfort that you can be different.
I always felt like a real outsider. When I met Tim, I could see that in him.
Working with Tim is empowering because he was open to trying anything.
It's silly and ridiculous.
That's his imagination.
That's beautiful. It's one artist and his art.
When he encountered obstacles, he didn't change his style.
It's Tim's vision. It'll always be Tim's vision.
You feel it, and that moves you. And, come on and play.
Okay, so as you can see here, coming soon to a theater near you on Halloween is an actual documentary about Tim Burton and his art and his movies from Wood Entertainment. So you can check that out as well too. Quick shout out for them because they give us some good content there to be able to use. But yeah, so let's dive right into this and talk about who is Tim Burton. You saw a big snapshot there. I'm sure many of you are very familiar with his imaginative work, his gothic work from Jack Skellington and Nightmare Before Christmas to The Corpse Bride, which I actually watched last night, and it was amazing. In spirit of Halloween, in spirit of doing this as well too. But Sleepy Hollow, Beetlejuice, Willy Wonka, you name it. Okay, Batman with Michael Keaton, which I know a lot of people were disappointed that they didn't create a major Batman series with Tim Burton and Michael Keaton. But, so many different movies that you don't even realize that he did. And he went from being obscure and, really, he got fired from Disney early on. He got fired from Disney as an animator. He started out as an animator. And you heard his ex-wife, Helena Bonham Carter, who you probably know from the Harry Potter series as well. She was like one of the evil kind of wizard ladies or whatever they call them, a sorceress, or witch, whatever you want to say. But she said, he draws his way through life and, that's how he expresses himself. And I guess he had trouble communicating, as you heard early on as well, too. So this trouble in communication, right? For a lot of people, especially as a director, this could be an impediment. This could really hurt you in a lot of ways. Many people would see it. But instead for him, it forced him to create even more and create in a visual medium and communicate in a visual medium. Okay. So it's a big thing we work on and we talk about here as well too, is taking your perceived weaknesses and turning them into strengths. And, like we talked about Damon John last week, the necessity and the lack and the scarcity creates creativity, causes creativity. So it's the same thing like Damon John talked about last week that Tim Burton had experienced, that his inability really to communicate well caused him to go so hard in the visual medium that was the way he communicated, okay? And he created amazing, amazing works of art and movies and touched a lot of people in the process. So some of the things to understand about him is that, he's the proof that the world doesn't just reward conformity or following on the path that everybody else follows, okay? It really rewards authenticity. Now, as I've said before, it doesn't mean that you go off and just totally ignore the playbook. You got to know the playbook. Obviously, he was a very skilled director in the Hollywood style and understood how to use the equipment, how to do the scripting, how to do all these things like that, right? But then he had his unique personal genius, like we talk about in Ferocious Optimism, that he applied to the situation that gave it his unique weirdness. It was weird, right? The power of weird, like I say in the thumbnail for this video, the power of weird, the power of his authenticity. But he was so authentic in a certain way and refused to compromise on it that a lot of people thought he was really weird. They thought he was maybe crazy. He was deranged. They didn't know what to think of him in Hollywood and the establishment until they saw what his vision was coming to life. And he really stuck to it. And again, remember, he got fired early on, okay? That could have been devastating for a lot of people, but this guy turned it into something really powerful. And we're going to talk about how he built a $1 billion brand from embracing this weirdness, okay? But creative leadership, leading other misfits and leading, misfits of his characters, stories that were not really accepted that much, and turning the fear into art, okay? So we're going to talk about all these things. Let's check out this next video. I'm going to take you into his world even a little bit more.
The world of Tim Burton is quite a vast exhibition that explores the life and work and career of one of the most fascinating film directors of our time, and then goes right up to, of course, his cinematic works, which are so beloved: Edward Scissorhands, Beetlejuice, Corpse Bride, Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas, and uses the lens of design to really delve into what makes his aesthetic so unique, what makes his characters so kind of loved and enduring.
I guess this is at a museum where they're displaying a lot of his works of art and a lot of things from his movies.
It was very just shocking because it's like seeing this stuff up that you never meant to be up on a wall or anything like that. It was quite shocking, and you feel quite vulnerable. But they did a beautiful job. It's like walking through kind of a fun house, which is nice. They basically went through and just sort of, like I said, picked things that I wouldn't necessarily, things that I never knew I even had. I realized I kind of just hoarded things, and I never really threw things away. But they did it in a way that just shows a journey, just shows.
We can see he's definitely a different cat, right? He's definitely different. He's, a lot of people say, he's weird. He is a little weird, right? But again, he made weird cool. So again, that's where the real authenticity play is, that you want to maintain enough of yourself, because at the end of the day, your personal brand and who you are, your unique self, is your moat, right? That's your competitive moat, your competitive advantage. I mean, again, you got to be highly skilled in whatever arena you're in, industry you're in. But again, keeping that unique personal flavor you have, the unique perspective, the unique flair or spin on things that you have, really creates the unique you, that unique personal genius and power, and creates a business moat, if you will, okay? Because there's only one you, and that is, you know, the thing at the end of the day that could be your real competitive advantage. And I'll say that if you're skilled in everything else, if you're very skilled in all the things you need to be skilled at in your industry, okay? And then on top of that, you're maintaining your own personal leadership style, your own personal flair, your own personal outlook and perspective and artistic contribution, okay? Let's keep going. Creative contribution.
Sort of a process and a journey which, you know, is, even though I can't look at things really specifically, it has a good vibe and a good feeling to me.
Okay. Want to check that out and just go into that a little bit more. So again, some of his key work that he's done, okay, this says they call him a gothic maverick who turned misfits into magic. You know, he also had some casting controversies along the way, and we'll talk about that. And we'll talk about why when you stay so pure to your art and your vision that you're going to make people not happy with you, okay? So, you know, and you've heard this before too, where people, I think, you know, I've heard it said that, you know, your haters will come when you're doing something so unique and powerful, or you're really shining, and then they're going to try and pick you apart, okay? Despite no ill will or, you know, ill intent on your own part, when you're that deeply involved in creating something according to your vision as strictly and purely as you can, you know, embracing your weirdness, all those things like that, embracing your vision, that people are going to come, the critics are going to come almost no matter what you do, okay? So we're going to talk, though, about also, what does this teach us in leadership lessons, right? That's what we're really here for, to upgrade your life. The purpose of this channel, the purpose of this podcast is to upgrade your life and for us to create success strategies and get ahead through the chaos, through the noise, through the hard times. And so we're going to take a look at people that have persevered through some difficulties. And I'll definitely say, everyone we cover, like Damon John last week, Tim Burton right now, Tim Burton's shyness and his quirkiness, his weirdness, his off the beaten path approach to things, his lack of ability to communication, all of these would be seen as really impediments, things that are going to hold you back in life. And especially, let alone being, you know, a major film director, working with all these personalities, these, you know, very charismatic people out there, all trying to make big money, very, very competitive. You would think that it would hold him back a lot, but instead, he embraced his authenticity, his weirdness, and he built a distinct brand, okay? So we're going to talk a lot about that. We're also going to talk about how do you balance, again, the vision with, you know, the culture that you're running into, right? No matter what industry you're in, you have a subculture. You've got a culture, and there are going to be times when, you know, you have to make a decision. Do I stay pure to my vision, or do I flex a little bit, and do I pay attention to what the criticisms are right now of me, and see that maybe I need to take a look at seeing beyond my own personal lens right now to, in his case, casting different people, opening up casting, maybe slightly changing the vision so that it would offer more opportunity to different types of people, okay? But these are all things that you're going to have to deal with as a leader, right? And again, it is Halloween tomorrow, so it's great to be able to tie all this in for his darkness, his gothic style, and just overall, probably no one more Halloween than him right now for all this, okay? So, again, I think one of the most important things, though, is looking at the tie-in, the balancing of personal vision with inclusive culture. And the tie-in for, do I just do things according to the mission, or do I just according to the vision, or do I do things to try to meet what my critics are saying and try to, you know, let my critics die down a little bit, all right? And that's something uniquely as a leader you're going to have to deal with, and you're going to have to make a decision for that. There's really no right or wrong answer, because if you stay pure to the vision, you're going to really deepen your brand, as he did, but you're also going to lose, you know, you're going to lose popularity with certain types of people and certain people that see it differently. And I think as well, you may not sell or scale as widely and as deeply and as broadly as you'd like to if you don't answer the mail on some of these criticisms as well too. Okay, so let's go ahead and watch this next one from him, and check this out as well.
The sort of era I grew up in, there was kind of a monster craze. You can get Count Chocula cereal or Frankenberry.
Now, I know some of you out there remember this. You remember all this stuff all too well.
Cereal, you know, the toys and the cards, and it shows like the Munsters or the Addams Family. I mean, there was a real wealth of, you know, Dark Shadows. At that time, I grew up in a weird sort of renaissance for monsters in a funny way. Famous Monsters of Filmland magazine, you know, subscribe to that, you know. So, and I think I just felt like, you know, like how certain people might, you know, connect with Fred Astaire or John Wayne or whatever. For me, it was like the Frankenstein and those characters, because those were the most human characters in the movies. You know, the people, the angry villagers and all the other people were the ones that were kind of the scary ones. And so that's when I first learned about this sort of, you know, how people perceive normal, what's weird or not weird. And it's like, well, these are the characters that were the most human. The sort of era I grew up in, there was...
Okay, so, you know, what he's saying there, and hopefully that makes sense for everybody, but he's saying, you know, the things that resonated the most for him were the humanity of certain characters, okay? And so I guess getting down to even a lower level and really, you know, really shifting this down to looking at what's the essence of this? What does he actually mean? Well, he's really saying that, you know, he knows who he is. He knows what resonated with him. And while mainstream things didn't resonate with him, John Wayne, you know, certain war heroes or, you know, these macho characters, things like that, didn't resonate with him as much as the monsters did. And he was saying the monsters oftentimes had more humanity, these tragic figures, than a lot of the other characters did for him. Okay, and so what can we learn from that? So I guess, again, knowing yourself is so important. And this goes back to Sun Tzu said this as well, know yourself. Okay, know yourself, know your enemies. In 100 battles, you have 100 victories. Okay, so you have to know yourself. Shakespeare said this as well too, know thyself. I think it's in the Bible as well too, to know yourself. So I mean, knowing yourself, and Shakespeare said, to thine own self be true. So really staying as much as you can authentically yourself and staying true to yourself will make all the difference in the world. And again, I think this becomes your competitive advantage. It becomes your competitive advantage overall in a world where everyone is telling you to follow the playbook. Everyone wants you to, you know, compare to the things you might see on social media. And we don't often have this quiet time where we can really just tune into who we are and what really matters and resonates to us. Okay, so again, when I look at this, I think it's almost like a win for the good guys. You know what I mean? It's a win for authenticity. It's a win for being true to yourself. When you see someone like Tim Burton, who absolutely knocks it out of the park and crushes it while they're maintaining their own personal, quirky, interesting brand of art, okay? And going back to the whole Disney thing of being fired from Disney for this short film called Frankenweenie, which I think we'll take a look at here in a second. But the little Frankenweenie film, they fired him saying that this isn't family-friendly enough. This isn't, you know, kid-friendly enough. You don't follow the Disney way with what you're doing. And so, you know, because of that, we got to get rid of you. And so they came back, 10 or 15 years later, and they hired him, paid him more money than ever just to make the same film he was fired over, okay? So this was a really, really full circle moment for him. But it just shows you that, again, they may not believe in you at first. They may ridicule you, laugh at you, criticize you. They may tell you that, you know how wrong you are for following your own path. Why can't you do it this way? Why can't you just go along and, and take the job? Or why can't you go along and just, do it this way at school or study this or whatever it may be, okay? But if you know in your gut, and you know in your heart of hearts that you're on the right path and you have a vision for the way it's supposed to be and it makes sense to you and it resonates with you, you got to stick to your guns and you got to see it through and go all the way. And it's going to be a tough road. It's going to be the road less traveled. It's not going to be fun. It's going to be hard, okay? This guy is a quiet director, like I said, has been ridiculed in a number of ways. okay? And, some of these, I'm going to touch on these right now, but some of the major controversies he was involved in, okay? He was accused of a lack of diversity in casting and character representation, okay? He was criticized for, not for being racist in some cases, okay? But it's interesting because he was said to be these things, and he said, he basically said, well, this was my vision and this is what it looked like in my dreams. Okay, this is the type of artist we're talking about, right? This is someone who might not even be fully aware, and again, I know I'm giving him a lot of license right here. I'm giving him a huge benefit of the doubt, but may not even be fully aware of any of these things that anyone else is really thinking about. And he's just thinking about the art. And this was my vision. He said, this is how it was in my dream. So I'm just trying to recreate my dream. And that's it in my drawings. And that's all I knew. That's who he was. That was the software he was loaded with, growing up. So for whatever reason. But actually, interestingly enough, Jen Ortega, who plays Wednesday and I believe is in the new Beetlejuice as well too, actress, came to his defense and saying he really does try to include as many people and tries to be as diverse as he can. I've seen him do it. Samuel L. Jackson, who played the lead for him, in one of his movies, I can't remember off the top of my head the name of it right now, but Samuel L. Jackson came out and defended him all the way and just saying, the guy is a real author. He's a real artist. He's a real auteur, right? As a director, and is trying to just follow his vision. And he's not racist at all on any of these things. So he's had people come to his side as well. But you can see when you stay really close on your vision, how you're going to invite criticism, right? When you won't compromise, you're going to invite criticism. So this might have worked for Tim Burton, okay? But in your own situation, you have to take a look at, as a leader, how important is your vision to the overall cultural framework context you're in, okay? And I'm not saying to not be to compromise on standards or quality or anything like that, okay? Then if you're Tim Burton with this type of imaginative storytelling, to me it's different, a little bit different. But if you're the leader in a company, an organization, and the vision you have maybe doesn't fit what the best thing is for the team and for the company and for the context you're operating in. Hopefully that makes sense. Where, I think the context matters a lot. Where are you leading your people? What is the context? How is the team producing? Okay. How much does you staying purely to your vision matter versus merit? Promoting by merit or getting people in place from merit, and having the best people in place to do the job versus a certain aesthetic, which is what Tim Burton's actually doing. Okay. So I think that's important as well too. But, I'm trying to give you a full picture of him and not just talk about one side, and also talk about the downsides of being quirky and being weird and sticking to your guns and being uncompromising in your vision. There will be a price to pay. Okay. However, at the end of that, paying that price will be a powerful, deep brand. You'll have raving fans, okay, no matter what industry you're in, people that really believe in you, okay? And it's going to be your superpower because it's going to separate you from the competition, separate you from other people that are in the space because you are uniquely you, okay? And put any questions you guys have in the chat if about that as well too, and we will get to it for sure. Okay, let's get to this next one. Let's get to this next little video here and see a little bit more about him. And this paints a little bit of an idea again about just who he is, so you have a good understanding of his character and what he's like.
I got the script for Beetlejuice. It was amazing because it was the exact opposite of everything else I'd gotten. Most of these scripts were like, A to B to C, all tied up in a neat little packet. Then I get this script that makes no sense. It has no real story. I worked with a lot of great actors that were very good at improv. You're on the set and get into a character and become it. Boy, there's amazing energy to that. It helped the script, it helped shape it a lot. And each day we felt like we were making this weird kind of experimental kind of thing in a way. And it was a Hollywood movie. And the good thing about that movie was it was so weird, I didn't get a lot of notes because they didn't know what to say about it. I got the script for Beetlejuice.
That's some great. That's really. You can see the way he is too, right? He's definitely different. He's definitely a different cat. But I think a few things to notice there. Okay, he's talking about empowering the actors to do their work. All right, it's the same thing I was talking about on Sunday. As a leader, and I talk about this often, but empowering your team to do their jobs. I made a little short video on YouTube today about how the Marine Corps creates such great leaders. They empower them to take initiative. They empower them to learn, take initiative, make mistakes. And it's the same thing. He was saying, when I allow them to do improv, the actors, they create some amazing, amazing things that we didn't even see coming. And so remember that as a leader as well too. If you're going to bring out the best in your people, you can't micromanage, okay? And you would definitely think a guy like Tim Burton, a lot of Hollywood movie directors, at least from what I've heard, they definitely have some of them have some control issues, right? And they clash with the actors over control and over what they think should be happening on the set and the way lines should be said. Maybe they over direct. And who here has heard of someone saying you're over coaching? The same thing with an athlete. You can't over coach an athlete. Sometimes you just have to let them go and let them do it. Because if you over coach them, you're going to take away that little magic way they see things and the magic way they do it. Okay. And that could take away their unique competitive advantage. And I think that's one thing that's very powerful about a guy like Tim Burton is that, he's working with an actor like Johnny Depp, right? He's got Johnny Depp, Helena Bonham Carter. He had, I think, Vincent Price, Michael Keaton, Gina Davis, all these different people, okay, that you saw. Winona Ryder, before she kind of fell off as well too. But he had all these powerhouse actors that were so talented and were very capable of great improv as well. And he knew that. And so he would tend to let them just go and do their thing. They would have the script, but if there were unscripted things that happened, he would encourage it because it created even a better environment, a more authentic environment. So remember that as a leader. I think it's very important because, it makes a huge, huge difference when you let people take initiative and you let them just flow and you have them in place for a reason, okay? You get the very best talent, the very best people you can, and then you let them go. You let them do their jobs and let them do their work, okay? Now, if they're not doing it up to standard, obviously you have to coach and you have to counsel and all those things. But a lot of the times when you have elite performers, or let me say this, elite for your place, wherever you are, you have the best that you can find locally or within your situation, see what they can do. Let them run a little bit. See what they can do, okay? And if you need to make changes, you can make changes as well too. And that's totally fine. But even here, we see with a guy like Tim Burton, the absolute importance that you have to place on allowing your talented players, your talented actors, in this case, your talented performers, your talented team, get to work. And otherwise, you're going to be sitting there nitpicking everybody to death. And that's when you really take the magic away. Okay, again, like in the title, Tim Burton, how he took, how he's a gothic maverick. He took misfits and turned them into magic. And just how did he do it? Okay. And I think another thing here that I think that seems to work is a framework of fear. This framework, I want to talk about fear. Okay. F, face your fears. Number one, you have to have courage in chaos. Number one. Okay. Number two, E, embrace the unknown. Don't worry if you don't know what the answer is. Don't worry if you don't know what's going to come next. That's, again, sometimes that free flow is where all the magic happens, just like Tim Burton was doing with his actors and on his sets, right? He's embracing the unknown. He's trying to see if he can create those magic moments. Amplify your authenticity. The A, F-E-A, we're going fear, the framework of fear. A, amplify your authenticity. Look at, Tim Burton, again, getting fired from Disney, then coming back to Disney, paid more money than ever in order to create the same movie he was fired for, that Frankenweenie movie. And then R, reframe failure, okay? Remember, no failure is final. It's only final when you quit. And let your last mistake be your greatest teacher, and let the seeds of tomorrow's victory be planted from yesterday's failures and yesterday's defeats, okay? The defeats from yesterday will plant the seeds of tomorrow's victory every time. That's just how it is every time, okay? So if you guys have any questions about Tim Burton and about his story, put them in the chat. And we will get to those and cover them in a minute here. I'll take a look and see what we have. Let's see here. I think it is. It's probably going to be on Netflix. Conflicted about Batman Returns. Yeah. Penguin, too scary. Okay. Hey, Steve, what's going on, bud? How you doing? Good to have you here. All right, you guys have any questions? Put them in the chat, okay? And again, we're trying to look at leaders out there, a profile of leaders who have done things, and some of them off the beaten path, where we can learn, even in a setting like, Hollywood and movie making and art, where people have to be leaders and behave like leaders, even when it's not natural, okay? Again, remember that he had a real communication problem, and how he solved it was by being more visual with his artwork, with the movies he made, okay? And so that makes all the difference in the world. But sometimes your weakness can form your biggest strength. And just to recap again, we talked about the fear framework, okay? We also talked about turning your weaknesses into strength, staying authentic, taking what is weird, right? I'll say weird, and using it as your advantage, taking what's weird about you, but really what's authentic. What you're afraid that people might see about you, okay, or that might be a little bit quirky, you might feel like is a little bit off the beaten path, and you're afraid to let that shine and to bring that out. That might just be your greatest competitive advantage. You don't know, okay? So again, harness your authenticity. Don't be afraid to shine that way. It'll make a big difference for you. I believe it'll become your competitive moat. It's just how it is, okay? Looking at some of his key statistics and financial highlights, Burton's directorial work has generated more than 2.08 billion domestically and 4.58 billion worldwide. Why is he more popular overseas? I don't know, but he is, okay? His highest grossing film was Alice in Wonderland, which earned over $1 billion worldwide. One film, Alice in Wonderland. Didn't realize that. I didn't know about that. That was 2010. Another big hit was Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. He did lots of work with Johnny Depp. In 2005, it grossed $475 million worldwide. Not bad. Not bad at all. Some more numbers. He had here Corpse Bride, which I watched yesterday. He made $118 million from that. I should say it made $118 million. He had Dark Shadows, made $245 million worldwide. And that Frankenweenie movie, okay, the little Frankenweenie short he got fired from in Disney, initially got fired from, they came back and asked him to make that movie again, and it grossed $81 million on a $39 million budget, okay? So he doubled their money, more than doubled their money on that movie when Disney brought him back. So yeah, he let his freak flag fly for sure, and he turned his unique perspective and really his genius, into magic, and it's pretty amazing. It really is pretty amazing. So one of the things to consider here too, some of the risk points of turning weird into magic, some of these lessons, right? There's a risk always of the niche of style, right? His style niche, his signature gothic outsider aesthetic. It's distinct, but it's not always guaranteed to win, right? I mean, he took some real risk doing this. And so you got to consider this as well, too. When you're going all in on your authenticity and who you really are, you're not always going to be guaranteed this mass market success. So I just suggest that you go all in on who you are and what you believe you're capable of, just as a matter of principle, and just knowing that you might not have mass market success, but I think you're going to be a whole lot happier when you're living authentically and you're leading authentically as a leader, okay? Because we're all about being leaders here as well, too. One of the things that happened as well, too, is as Tim Burton tried to scale these films, the risk went up enormously because the expectations went up enormously for him. So you can see later on in his films, he starts doing bigger and bigger films. And with that takes greater and greater leadership lessons. It takes greater and greater leadership capability and capacity. So make no mistake, these are pretty big operations. To be the director of a feature film is not an easy thing. And the focus and diligence and discipline it takes to get these done on time, under budget, is pretty significant. It's very significant. Okay. So redemption, a comeback, the risk of a comeback and redemption after just being yourself and getting fired is huge. It's huge as well too. And so when you're just fully being yourself, you got to remember, when you're just fully being yourself and you're really leaning into your authenticity, again, there are a lot of risks to be taken. And he took those risks successfully. But again, if you look at his story, and really the biggest thing I'll say is you look at his story, he was uncompromising in sticking to his guns of his artistic vision, who he is, who he was at the time when making all these films. And it made, I think, all the difference in the world for him. Okay, so it's a powerful narrative for leadership because people will flock to someone who has a vision and knows where they're going, because most people have no clue where they're going, what they're doing. But when you have a vision and you stick to it and you believe in it and you go all in on it, despite setbacks, despite fear, despite people, criticizing you and coming after you, people will flock around you. People are going to see that you're doing something significant and they're going to flock around you. All right. So that's what I really want to say there as well too. And again, any questions you guys have, put them in the chat. We will get to them. Some of the usable leadership and narrative angles, scale and payoff. Okay. He started with the short little doing independent short films and scaled them into billion dollar blockbusters. Okay. So as I talked about many times before with Jim Collins from Good to Great, fire bullets first, then fire cannonballs. So you want to test and see if there's some traction. That's what he did with his short films. He tested to see if there's some traction. And then once he realized he was getting traction, he went ahead and he went, all in and was trying to scale up and purely from his very authentic, weird style, to see if he had traction, and then going into bigger audiences and bigger scaling of feature films from there. Okay. And again, guys, put in the chat any questions you have, any comments. I'll read off a couple quotes here from some of the people that worked with him. From Helena Bonham Carter: Tim also has enough confidence so that it always looks like a Tim Burton film, but it really is collaborative. You're allowed to do it your way, but of course he's always going to choose his way. So again, as a leader, I think it's very important that you let people bring out their best as well too. And if it gets off course from the broader vision, you correct it and bring it back on. Okay, that's a great leadership practice that works really in any industry. From Steve Buscemi, an actor who worked with Burton on Wednesday. I love the way he works, his process. I love that he counts on actors a lot to bring stuff. So that's always fun to work with a director that gives the actor a lot of responsibility. And again, like I was saying, this could be an actor. It could be, someone in sports, an athlete. It could be your top performer on your team at work in any industry. And put the responsibility on your team. See what they can do, okay? Don't micromanage everything. Give the task, the purpose, the standard. Give them oversight. But then you got to let them go. You got to let them go and you got to let them do it. If you don't do that, all right, if you don't empower your people, and you don't trust their creative input into things, okay, I think you're not going to be getting the best performance out of everybody. It's just how it is. So delegation and empowerment can elevate team performance and ownership every time. It makes a huge difference, all right? And again, what we're trying to do here is to elevate our own leadership, elevate our own capability, upgrade our own lives, and to look at the work from some of these people that have been leaders in their industry, from different industries, and see what we can take away from it. The last quote I have is from Johnny Depp. Tim made huge sacrifices on Sweeney Todd. I consider him part of my family. Now, Johnny Depp's made a bunch of movies with him. They're very close by all accounts, okay? So what this reveals is that Tim Burton's leadership extends beyond on set, okay? And a lot of the times you'll see that in really powerful leaders, really influential leaders, that it's not just at work where they have great influence. They tend to care about people's personal lives. They don't meddle in their personal lives. They don't overly get involved in them, but they create psychological safety on their teams to make sure that the people know they can count on them for more than just the things on set or the things just at work, okay? Tim Burton was known to support his collaborators, his helpers, his team personally, building trust and loyalty. So where can you take a page out of Tim Burton's book, right? Maybe we're not going to go create Jack Skellington or anything like that. But again, it's another angle to look at leadership. It's another angle that you can see this human dynamic of leadership. It works anywhere. It works in an artistic setting, like on a movie set, like as something as quirky and gothic and weird as a Tim Burton film, okay? But it's the human interplay, the human interaction, which is really what made his movies so powerful. Was you saw a real vulnerability in his characters. You saw a real humanity in his characters. You saw some sadness. You saw different things. So despite the gothic horror film like exterior, inside the characters were all, they were pretty precious, right? In so many ways. And so I think, but behind the scenes, all of that is stemming from a leader, Tim Burton, as a director who actually, that's the way he was with the people he worked with, okay? The way he is. So one of the things I want to say too is that from that, real leadership includes personal support and relational trust. You have to build relationships. You have to build trust. That's the only way you're going to have high performance teams, is if you're able to build trust with everybody. Okay. So hopefully you're taking something away from this. Put in the chat if you have any questions, and we will get to it in a second here. Okay. Let me see what we got. Yeah, me too, Jasmine. I love Tim Burton. Very cool. Let's see here. What do we have? Yeah. Yeah, big eyes. Okay. Oh, very cool. Yeah, I don't know if I've seen that one before, though, Becky, about big eyes. I'll have to check that out. All right, let's keep on rolling. Yeah, that's right, Lisa. Be genuine. Be genuine. It's very important. Now, okay, I will say, right, like, there's transparency and there's too much transparency too, okay? So just because you're being authentic and genuine doesn't mean you have to overshare. Know your context, right? Okay. Again, Tim Burton is dealing in art. He was staying very, very committed and authentic to his artwork, okay? And so some places, that you're working, or some places where you're leading, you want to definitely stay authentic as yourself as a leader and, keep your humanity all the way. Right? Don't let that be wiped away. But again, I'll just say as a leader myself, sometimes there's sharing and there's oversharing, right? Sometimes there can be too much transparency. So you have to make that judgment call. But I will say, if you're erring on the side of not being authentic and not being genuine, I think you're taking away, a real competitive advantage you have, because there's only one of you. And even if you may get some frowns here and there from some people because it's not fitting exactly into the mold, okay? If you're highly skilled and you're kicking ass, and the task, purpose, and standard and getting things done, and you're making mission, you're doing all those things, okay? Some personal flair, I think, is a good thing. Personal flair, a personal flair in your leadership, doing things the way that seems the best to you, not faking it, not having fake authenticity, saying, well, I'm going to add this little quirk. Nothing like that. If you're someone that's so straight-laced and you fit right you color right in the lines, you fit in the box perfectly, that too is your superpower, okay? Some people can't do that. They can't help themselves. What I'm saying is that definitely kick ass, meet your mission, crush it, but you have to make sure you bring that personal flair as well too. Be yourself. If you find something's funny, it's okay to laugh. If you have a comment, raise your hand, say the comment, speak up. Okay, let your voice be heard. Okay, and I think being candid and speaking with candor is very important as well too. So all these things would fit in with what we're talking about with Tim Burton and about your unique personal genius, your weirdness, so to speak, letting some of those things out, and also not looking at yourself as being weird for just being yourself. Okay. So all those things. And again, and there's a whole side also of being professional. If there is a culture at the place you're working where there's a certain standard of behavior, well then, you probably have to take a look at that culture, and you probably want to make sure that you're still meeting the mark for what the cultural standards are, right, at work. So it's a fine line. It's a fine line. But I really think that one of your most powerful things is maintaining that authenticity, and while you're also operating within the cultural context that you're in as well too, okay? That's why leadership is a real art form. It's not just a science, okay? You have to really keep your feelers out there. You got to keep your ears to the tracks. You got to keep your eyes on the ball, every cliche line you can think of. But it's a thinking, feeling science, right? It's a science and an art. It's both, okay? All right. Let's see what we got here. Yep, trust but verify, 100%, all the way. Let me see, Nick, how do you navigate sticking your version? Okay, sticking to your version, knowing when to pivot. Yeah, I think, so sticking to your version, knowing when to pivot, obviously this is where the art and the science of leadership comes into play. Okay, so I think probably one of the most important things for this is, first of all, what is the mission, right? Knowing what the mission is, first of all. What is the overall mission you're on, okay? What is expected? What does winning look like? What does losing look like? You got to frame the problem you're working on, first of all, okay? And I think when your vision and version of it hits all the wickets, right, and actually fulfills every obligation of quality, okay, of quantity, everything you're supposed to have, then that's when you really want to stick in there to your vision. But if you see there's another way to do it that might be better, faster, less expensive, this is also a way, in my opinion, of being authentic. It's also a way of being authentic, because you're being authentic by being truthful and not being prideful and not leading too much with your ego. Because I'm going to tell you, a lot of people will try to be just like Tim Burton because they want to be the auteur, right? They want to be the author. They want to be the director. They want to be this, creative visionary. But there's no need to. There's no need to be, okay? There's no need to be the creative artist, because you're in a team environment where so-and-so's contribution might be what just was the best thing they said that's going to help you get it done for less money and faster, right? And so you do it that way. And don't worry about what your vision dictated this way. Unless doing it by your vision takes care of second-order effects, third-order effects, a long-term qualitative standard that can't be broken, then it's okay to change. So I think that's when it really matters. Hopefully that answers the question, Nick. Let me know. Get in the chat and just tell me. But I think that's the biggest thing. Unless there's no compelling, clear reason to do it, to stay to your vision, then it's okay to switch, right? Now, if you're just trying to flex up and show that you're the leader, that is a reason. It's an actual reason to do it. But you also have to think of, am I going to look pig-headed? Am I going to look stubborn? Am I going to look, like I can't see, because of my own pride, I can't see that this is a better solution? They're like, but you're going to get it done a whole day faster. You're going to get it done for $10,000 less if we do it this way. And they prove it to you and you actually believe it. Then it's your ego talking. Okay. All right. Awesome, Nick. Okay. Great. All right. Let's keep moving. We got some other stuff to talk about here. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that segment on Tim Burton. Put it in the chat. Any feedback you have. And again, as always, you guys can message me at ben@benpappas.com. That's my email, ben@benpappas.com, with any questions, concerns, or whatever. If you have any inquiries about speaking or anything else, and we will get to that in a little while. But again, ben@benpappas.com, or you can DM me on Instagram as well too. All right, let's keep on rolling. We are going to get into some of the latest, greatest from the news. Let's see what we got here. We got a lot of stuff happening, ladies and gentlemen. We got a lot of stuff happening. And if you're just joining us, great to have you here. And if you're on the replay watching, great to have you here as well too. It is the eve of Halloween, And unfortunately, tomorrow I could not do it. So thank you for everybody being here in the flex, getting here on Thursday, being here with me tonight. Awesome to have you. And let's go ahead and let's kick it. Let's do this.
Just hit the 4-week mark as the Senate once again failed to pass a funding bill. Pressure's now mounting on lawmakers as more than 40 million Americans could lose food assistance this weekend. President Trump continues to blame Democrats.
The Democrats have caused the problem on food stamps. All they have to do is sign. And, if they sign, I'll meet with them.
CBS News correspondent Natalie Brand joins us from the White House with more on this aspect of what's happening.
Is it the Democrats? Is it? Is it the Democrats? Put it in the chat. What do you guys think? We're going to talk about it. Is it the Democrats? I don't know. Like I said, I'm politically independent, but I too wonder. I'm like, what's going on? What the hell is this about? What's going on? So I did a little research, and we're going to get to it in a second. Let's keep going.
Happening in the world. Good morning, Natalie. Lawmakers continue to trade the blame, but it's really everyone else feeling the weight of the shutdown. So where do things stand today?
Yeah, well, Vice President J.D. Vance actually visited Capitol Hill yesterday to speak with GOP senators, and he told reporters that Republicans just need several more Democrats to cross over and support that short-term GOP funding bill. So the bottom line is the positions of the two sides have not changed here, and yesterday that short-term funding measure backed by the Republicans failed to advance for a 13th time. So we're pretty much in the same place 1 month in. As you noted, the impacts day by day continue to grow. CBS's Capitol Hill correspondent Nicole Killian spent a large part of yesterday trying to ask lawmakers what they are doing to negotiate. Take a listen to some of the exchanges.
All right, so we're gonna take a look at this. Let's talk about it a little bit first before we hear this part. So again, put it in the chat what you think. Is this the Democrats' fault, the Republicans' fault, both their fault? What do we think? Again, I'm not the big politics guy, right? I try to understand the best I can, and I talk about it, but I'm saying, we all have to care about it because it impacts our lives. So that's why we're talking about it here. Again, why do we cover the news? We have to know the context. If we're going to upgrade our lives, if we're going to be leaders, you got to know what's going on in the world. You got to know what's impacting your world, impacting the life of the people you lead, the people you love, all those things like that. That's why we talk about this, okay? And again, I think it's part of leadership is problem framing and knowing the context you're operating in. So whose fault is this? Let's just put in the chat what you think. And if you don't want to, that's fine too. I'll tell you what I think based upon my own research. So what I was really just, doing some research on this, and a couple things come up, right? First of all, the Republicans control both houses of Congress, Senate and the House, right? So they control both houses. Republicans control the presidency, the executive branch, right? So by just fundamentals, you would think that they are operationally responsible for getting the budget funded for 2026, fiscal year 2026. And so, but the Democrats hold a big portion of the blame as well, too, because they're holding things up for the Affordable Care Act. Okay, so, I know that's going on as well. So, but if I'm a voting person as just an American citizen who's now starting to suffer, okay? And I know people are out there suffering, as the food stamps thing is, the SNAP programs are going away. That's real, right? People actually buy groceries with that. And I've seen some things out there where people, are saying, you don't buy groceries with that or stuff like that. Okay, that's individual case basis. But I'm saying this is a program that feeds people when they're out of work or they're, hitting tough times. So that's being compromised and being taken away. Federal workers are missing paychecks. I think a lot of them, the economy is being impacted big time to the tune of probably $1 billion. Okay. And operationally right now, the Republicans have both houses and the presidency. Okay. And so, for sure the Democrats have a big portion of the blame here, but, again, they got to figure this thing out. Okay. So tell me what you think. If you have any questions, put them in the chat. We're going to keep on listening to this right now so we know what's going on. Let's keep going here.
Available to talk to anybody who wants to talk on any subject. I mean, we voted 13 times now to open the government.
And the whole reason that we're in Washington, even though the Republicans are not, is to demand that they come back, reopen the government, restore health care to everybody, and get past this crisis.
Way to end the shutdown is just vote for the House continuing resolution. I mean, we started from the most reasonable position. There's really no place to negotiate.
People in more than 30 states are going to be aghast when they see their bills, and they're going to cry out. And I believe there will be increased pressure on Republicans to negotiate with us.
And Senate Minority Leader Schumer also noting, November 1st, the Affordable Care Act insurance marketplace opens that day. And so he thinks that is going to put pressure on Republicans. What else happens November 1st? Those SNAP benefits, the federal food assistance for low-income families, tens of millions of them, is set to come to a halt. More than 24 states have now sued the administration, saying that shutting off these benefits will cause deterioration of public health and well-being, that states will bear costs associated with many of the harms. Democrats are asking the administration to tap into contingency funding. But Secretary of Agriculture Brooke Rollins yesterday told CBS News that she does not have the legal authority to do that. We do know, Errol, that there are some...
All right. Okay, so we've heard it all there. I'll tell you this, okay? And to make it more confusing, I looked at Republican approval ratings. They've gone up. Believe it or not. And guys, fact check me. Go to ChatGPT or something like that. Fact check me on this, okay? Just so we're keeping it all straight. But just as of 24 hours ago, when I was initially creating this, some of my notes, Republican approval ratings went up for most people, despite the shutdown. Okay? So, somewhere in there, and I'll say, but however, at the same time, in polls taken, 67% of people believe that it's the Republicans' responsibility for this government shutdown. Okay, so it's a confusing thing. The bottom line is this. The bottom line is, again, we talk about the chaos and what are we going to do? How are we going to get past these hard times? How are we going to make sure that we're creating a competitive advantage that can't be messed with for the future. And again, that's why I talked about Tim Burton today. Well, let's be honest. I talked about him also because it's Halloween, and I thought he was a great fit for Halloween. That's a big part of it. But also, his weirdness, his uncompromising authenticity, his adherence and his dedication to his vision is what created his competitive moat. What created it protects him. It makes him different, okay? If you're just like everybody else and they can just, wave a stick at 5 or 6 different people and they're like, they're all kind of the same, pick one. What's going to make you stand out? Is it you have more skills, you have more certificates, you have more experience, you're willing to do more, maybe it's your communication skills, you're reaching out, your persistence. All these different things matter to make you stick out, okay? And so in this time right now, again, we can blame the Republicans. We can blame the Democrats. We can blame everybody, right? It's good for us to be aware that both sides have blame in this. And I will say just structurally, the Republicans do control both houses, okay? Both houses of Congress, Senate and the House, and they have the presidency. So operationally, probably just as a purely math problem, they own it, okay? As a pure math problem, they own it. They're responsible for getting the budget across. But of course, the Democrats can weigh it down and block it. Of course they can, okay? So without getting into all the he said, she said here, just offering up my best context builder here, I think that we have to prepare no matter what, all of us do, for prolonged issues, right? Prolonged crisis. And the debt shocks coming from shutting the government down for the economy being hit by, for $1 billion. And then now the Fed is saying that it's not a foregone conclusion that there'll be rate cuts in December. This too is causing some uncertainty in the environment. The tariffs are causing some more uncertainty in the environment. Announcing that we're going to do nuclear missile tests right before meeting with Xi Jinping in China, a little bit causing a little bit of uncertainty. It sounds like they worked that out though. I think, we're going to cover that in a second here, though, okay? All right, let's see here. What do we have? Any questions? Steve. Yeah, how can they do it? Yeah, the Republicans can do it. Okay. You might be right, Lady Ann. I don't know. And Steve, it's a good question. How can they do it? I don't know. Honestly, I'm not going to lie to you guys. Like, I wish I could just tell you I do know, but I really don't. I'm context building here and trying to give you the best information I can gather. But again, I will say the one thing is that who is operationally responsible right now? Republicans. They own both houses of Congress and they have the presidency. So, but I'm sure the Democrats are making it very difficult until they get what they want for the Affordable Care Act as well too. Okay. So, but what that means for all of us is we got to prepare and we still got to go out and kick ass and earn a living and do well in this environment. And that's what this is all about, what the channel is all about, what the show is all about. Okay, let's keep on rolling. Yeah, I think so, The Diamond Dog. I think it was. I think that was a Tim Burton movie. I covered quite a bit of his stuff. Watch the replay. See in the beginning, I covered a bunch of his stuff. Pretty cool, pretty fun. All right, let's keep on rolling here, everybody. Let's check this out. I guess it was a pretty good meeting in China. Things went pretty well from my understanding, so let's check this out.
Should go to President Trump. He has all the congratulations should go to President Trump. He has a fine relationship with President Xi. The mood in the room was one of great respect, but also between two men who knew each other quite well and knew what they were getting into. I think at the end of the day, just this trip alone may end up in $2 trillion of investment.
How about that? One of the many headlines that the Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent gave to Maria Bartiromo earlier today on Fox Business. This on the heels of the summit in South Korea. He calls the outcome lucrative. Maria B. joins me now. Good morning to you. Checking the markets right now. We're trading lower. I'll get that in a second here because I want to talk about interest rates. But first.
Well, it sounds like that trip to China went pretty well despite, threatening to test nuclear weapons and all those things again. Let's see. Let's listen to this.
Things first, Maria. You made a ton of headlines, 30, 40 minutes with Scott Bessent. I'll watch the entire thing. Before I hear the list of headlines, here is President Xi reading from his statement inside that meeting with the president in South Korea.
Given our different national conditions, we do not always see eye to eye with each other. And it is normal for the two leading economies of the world to have frictions now and then. And in the face of winds, waves, and challenges, you and I, at the helm of China-US relations, should stay the right course and ensure the steady sailing forward of the giant ship of China-US relations.
So it seems like this relationship continues to grow. That's quite clear now. He'll be in China in April of next year.
Well, that sounds pretty promising, actually, from what that statement was, and it sounds like they got some good results here. Let's hear what she says about what actually came out from it, and we'll talk about it.
Go ahead. The president scored it at 12 on a scale of 1 to 10.
Yeah, that's right.
What did Scott Bessent tell you were the major headlines from this meeting?
Well, the major headlines was the agreement, and I've got a couple of important items in that agreement, which really was not the focus, but I think are very substantial. Scott Bessent told me that this was an opportunity to reset the relationship between the U.S. and China. Of course, as you mentioned, President Trump is lowering his tariff on China to 47%. That's down from 57%. Remember, a month ago, the president had threatened a 100% additional tariff, which would have taken the tariff to 157%. The president told me in my interview 2 weeks ago that that was not sustainable. And of course, even before they walked in the room, that was off the table as well. So what are the details here? Number one, the U.S. cuts the tariff to 47%. China will buy a massive amount of agriculture. Scott Bessent said that they are going to be buying 12 million metric tons of soybeans during the season overall. They're going to be starting that immediately and going into January. So the agriculture part of this is very important. Also important is the fact that the U.S. is...
All right, sounds like a lot of good stuff came out from that. Again, they're buying the soybeans pretty big. I don't know if any of you know about soybeans being so important for the economy, but they are, especially for all of the, for the farmers. It's a big deal. But it sounds like that went really well there. That is good to hear. Honestly, it was breaking news just when I put it in here into the live. So good there. Any questions on what's going on in China? I'll give my 2 cents here. I think this is the most crucial relationship that we have to manage. It is so important that we manage this relationship successfully with China, because again, if China and Russia get too close, we've talked about this before. If China and Russia get too close, what we're looking at is that, if China wants to invade Taiwan and they push Russia to cause more problems for NATO, the U.S. has to fight a two-front war, okay? Again, a military mind like mine, this is what I think of. But then even moreover, okay, that's catastrophic World War III stuff. But just the trade alone, okay? The Belt and Road Initiative, the South China Sea issues, the sheer mass of the Chinese economy, and also the Indian economy, right? The subcontinent economy as well, too. The mass that these two together put out into the world as far as, two giant economies that in the next 10 years are going to keep on growing. We have to maintain good relations with them. We have to maintain, when I say good relations, it doesn't mean just kowtowing and letting them push us around at all, but it means really managing their growth and managing the relationship, letting them see a survival strategy through us, okay, through the U.S., and seeing that the U.S. is a good partner to have and that they understand what our needs are as well, too. Make no mistake, China always has an ace up its sleeve. They are not our friends, okay? Make no mistake about that. They are a strategic competitor. However, that doesn't mean we have to have an adversarial relationship, right? We can manage it through strength. I think engagement's very important. I think, maintaining what President Trump is doing with a good, strong trade relation, but demonstrating strength the whole time as well, too. That's why, you have the tariffs coming up and tariffs being threatened, tariffs being put into place as well, too. So that is the most important thing we can do for long-term strategically, in my opinion, okay? Obviously, we have to solve the Russia thing. We got to solve that because that in the near term could flip the table on Europe and on the world, frankly, okay? And if any of you have seen that the Gaza peace deal is no longer a peace deal, Israel's striking the Palestinians again, okay? So it lasted for, a little while, a few days, maybe a few weeks, not even a few weeks, but a few days, and they're right back at it again, unfortunately. Hopefully they'll have a pause again soon. So put any questions you guys have in the chat about the China-U.S. relations or anything else, and we will get to it. Let me see here. What do we got? Yeah, that's a great idea, Steve. Build that homestead. Self-sufficient as possible. I love it. I love it. It's good you're on your soapbox. Yep. Let's see. Okay. Got it. Okay. Hey, Super Slam, how you doing? Great to have you. Great to have you listening. I appreciate you listening. Thank you for showing up, everybody. I know I had a day switch today from Friday to Thursday. We'll be back on Fridays next week, of course. Be back on that. That will be our day on Friday. I had a choice, though, to not do tomorrow, not do it at all this week, or to go a day early. So I chose to show up today and make it happen today, which was not easy. I'm not going to lie to you. I had to cram my schedule to make this happen. But here we are, and you guys are here, and it's awesome, and we're going to rock and roll. Let's see what else we got planned in here for everybody. Let's see what else we got planned. I think right now it is a word from our sponsors, and we have a fantastic sponsor today. As always, the Ben Pappas Company. Let me tell you guys all about the Ben Pappas Company a little bit. It is a fantastic company. So, as I said before, guys, if you're interested in working with me, if you're interested in me speaking at your event, I do inspirational speaking, keynotes. I do leadership development training for teams, for companies, for sales teams, you name it, okay? Reach out to me, ben@benpappas.com. Again, my email is ben@benpappas.com. You can hit me up and tell me what your situation is on there, and we will work something out. Now, if you're interested in working with me one-on-one, okay, to make a breakthrough for yourself and your leadership, your personal leadership of yourself and your team, and also just if you're stuck right now, if you feel like you're in a situation where, you know, you need to get ahead, you want to make a breakthrough, and you want to make that investment in yourself, and you want to work with me one-on-one, you're not up for some type of group setting or anything like that, then go ahead and you can also email me, ben@benpappas.com there, or go in my bio in YouTube or in Instagram. And you can also go to benpappas.com, www.benpappas.com, and you can find the drop-down menu there to book a no-fee strategy and discovery session with me. You can apply to get that no-fee, that free session with me, and just, you know, have to answer a few questions, and then we will get on a call and we will work it out and form a strategy to help you make a breakthrough, help you get unstuck, help you get to your next level, okay, whatever that may be. I've been doing this for about, you know, full-time as an executive leadership coach and business coach for about 7 years now, okay, full-time. And I have thousands and thousands of hours of coaching people. Before that, I was a commissioned officer in the United States Marine Corps for 23 years, led all the way up to the battalion command level, led direct combat operations in combat, built companies, all those things like that. So I've been doing this for a while, and I know I'll be able to help you make a breakthrough and solve the problem that you're looking for, okay? That you're encountering, I should say. I can help you get the solution you're looking for that problem, okay? And if you're looking for more of a group setting, I'm also really happy to talk about this because this was a long time in coming. My Ferocious Optimist group coaching program, my membership and community, which is just amazing, okay? It's $87.99 per month. And I really created this due to demand from a lot of people asking me, Ben, when are you going to create a group coaching membership and a community? When are you going to do this? So that, you know, because I'm not ready to do one-on-one to make that type of investment or the one-on-one coaching. I want to do a group coaching membership. I just want to be involved, and I want to learn all of your lessons. I want to get the presentations. I want to be involved in the private Zoom call, the Q&A. You know, we do Q&A for about an hour. We're on live on Zoom, video, audio with each other. And once a month, I do a live group coaching session, and I hang the replay up in the members area so you can replay it as many times as you want. And unlike here in these lives, I have a whole robust presentation that I use for these coaching sessions that I hang in the members area as well too. And you can download that and use it as you see fit. Like I said, if you use it somewhere else, just give me credit, please. That's all I ask. If you take it on the road show with you and you're, want to use it to help other people, just give me credit. Okay. That's all I ask for that. But you can go ahead and access this as much as you want. And then plus you're a part of a community, this amazing, supportive community of people that are all trying to level up this year. People that have really done some stuff are in this community and are doing stuff right now. Real go-getters, ambitious, smart entrepreneurs, career professionals, artists, teachers, you name it, they're in there. It's very, very cool. And I'm honored to be able to be, the coach for everybody in there. And they DM me and I coach them through DMs on a daily basis. We have a Q&A section where everybody piles in and answers and supports each other. And then we have weekly challenges as well too. Sometimes I post more than one challenge per week where we have a point system and a leaderboard. It's really fun. But if you're interested in that Ferocious Optimist group coaching membership and community, which is absolutely awesome, click the link in my bio, okay? It's both in YouTube and Instagram, and you can DM me about it on Instagram or email me at ben@benpappas.com, and I'll get you all set up. But it costs absolutely nothing to look at it. There's a video, a short video, like 5 or 6 minutes, that's inside the link, okay, that says coaching membership and community. You'll see it in my YouTube bio. Click on that, watch the video. It'll take you inside the membership so you can see what the user experience is like, the user interface inside the platform, okay, Kajabi platform. You can see what a group coaching call looks like. I'll talk you through a few things of how do you access the videos, how do you do the replay, all the stuff like that. So you can get familiar with it. See if it's for you. And also, it's virtually risk-free. Okay, I say this every week, but $87.99. You can sign up, join for a month, check it out. If you don't like it, there's no obligation. You can quit anytime. There's no like, oh, you're tied in now. It's like a car payment. You're in there for good. No, just go ahead, join, come on aboard. And then maybe you want to stay for a couple months, you stay. Maybe you want to stay for a year. You stay for a year. Stay as long as you want, and you can jump out anytime, and you're always welcome to come back. Okay, that's what the community is all about. It's absolutely fantastic, and I feel really honored and privileged to be able to lead, teach, and motivate the people that are in there. And hopefully you become a part of it as well, too. I think you're going to get a lot out of it. And again, if you have any questions, my email is ben@benpappas.com. Very easy. Click the links in my bio in YouTube. I got a bunch of links in there. Go to the coaching membership and community. Check it out. You can go to www.benpappas.com and you can see what I have offered there as well, too. If you're looking for one-on-one coaching, you can DM me on Instagram, email me at ben@benpappas.com, or you can go ahead and click the link in my YouTube bio and go ahead and book a no-fee discovery and strategy session, a no-fee one-on-one coaching call with me, and we will talk about creating a plan and a strategy to help you make a breakthrough this year and achieve everything, all your goals that you want to achieve, and get you moving, get you unstuck, and get you on your way. All right, back to our regular scheduled program. That is a word from our sponsors, the fantastic Ben Pappas Company, kind of like the Walt Disney Company, but not so much. Anyway, going there. All right, everybody, any questions you have, put them in the chat. We're about to rock and roll. You know what time it is. You hung in there. You made it. You made it this far, and now you will be rewarded. You'll be rewarded for your loyalty and for your dedication with the leadership lessons of South Park. Let's get to it, everybody. Here we go. Let's see if I actually can find it. Oh, here we are. Oh, geez. Where did this come from? Who the hell put this in here? I'm a machine. What's going on? Who put this in here? I don't even know. Let's see what happens. Here we go. Stand by.
Eric, God bless it. What do you think you're doing? Where did you get that costume, young man?
My mom made it. Yig hi! Yig hi!
Shh. God bless America. You get into my office before anyone else sees you. I have to show you an educational video.
I don't want to see an educational video.
Watch the video, Eric.
Adolf Hitler was a very, very naughty man.
Schweden! Loben der Brust lieben! Einen Menschen werden Bruder!
You must remove that costume immediately.
I can't. I have to win those 2 tons of candy.
Aha. Thought of something. How about we make you a nice scary ghost costume?
I don't want to be a stupid scary ghost.
And let me just make a few quickie alterations, and there you go, young man.
Hello, children.
Hey, Chef. Whoa, Chef's really scared of ghosts, huh?
Eric.
What in the world? Who put this in here? This is crazy, I tell you. What? Oh, my God. All right. So, what kind of leadership lessons can we take away from this? Well, I'll tell you what. You got to know the history, and you got to know the context. You got to know what you're representing, what the symbology means, what it means to certain people, what it means to other people. Okay? I'll tell you, though, there are situations like that where if you don't inspect what you expect, you could have a situation like this where the whole lesson goes right over somebody's head and they're just doing something that is like, has this connotation, it has this deeper meaning, this other double meaning that they didn't think it meant. Put in the chat if you've seen something like that before where somebody, somehow unintentionally is representing something that is not good. Like they don't even know what they're doing. Put in the chat. Yep. Right. Exactly, the Diamond Dog. I know. What can I say? The producer put all this stuff in here. We're going to blame her for the producer, whoever put this all in here. Yeah, but you got to know. Okay, so really as a leader, you got to know the context you're operating in. You got to know the cultural sensitivities of other people as well too, okay? Like maybe this might not be good in this case if I say or do these things. And again, we tie that back to Tim Burton as well too, right? He was such a purist of his vision and still is that he's getting criticized being a racist. He's like, I'm not a racist. This is how the dream was. That's what the vision was. Since I was a little kid, I don't talk, I draw. And I drew it this way. And so now I'm making my movies. And then people are coming out and saying, to him, because he didn't really know. He knows now, okay? And he's obviously changed, right? He's been changing. But it's up to us, just like the teacher, to try to make a change. But then she made it worse in some ways. Okay? Absolutely nuts. All right, let's see what else we can get here. Let's see what else we can find here in the pumpkin patch. We're in the friggin' South Park pumpkin patch. Let's see what else I found. Oh, I think we got another one. We got another winner. Let's see. Here we go.
I can't. Oh my God! I killed Kitty! You bastard! I can't.
All right. So, what do we have here? This is friendly fire, my friends. This is friendly fire. That's what we got here. Okay? When you're applying force, okay, in the literal and figurative sense, but in the literal sense, you're applying force, check your target, be sure of the background, okay? These are all the firing rules that we've been taught. Be sure of your target, check the background. Make sure you're not going to, go through your target into the next one and cause collateral damage. In this case, Spazman there with the friggin' chainsaw went ahead, was trying to administer some freedom to the zombies, trying to give some justice there to the zombies and, protecting himself. And he freaked out and he killed Kenny, right? He killed Kenny, you bastards. He killed Kenny by mistake, even though he was trying to go for the zombie girl. Kenny got the good news. And again, he's probably closing his eyes with a chainsaw. But what does this mean metaphorically? All right, you know me. We're talking about leadership and all these things. This is what this is. It's just a tool for, South Park is just a tool for leadership. We're not actually just trying to have fun and laugh. God forbid that. Okay, so anybody in the algorithm listening, this is a pure business experience right now. No fun, no joking. We're being very serious. So what does this mean metaphorically? Well, it means this. It means that when you are applying, okay, some type of coercive force, or you are, applying force, let's say your words are aggressive, make sure that you're not hitting the wrong target, okay? Make sure that in your effort to protect yourself, protect others, to advance some interest, to make sure your voice is heard, you're not blasting someone unnecessarily. How many times have you seen it at work where the boss freaks out and blasts everybody, and there's collateral damage of like the good ones, the people have been doing their work, all of a sudden they're screwed too. In the military, this is a regular practice. You blast everybody, and in fact, then you make an example of the one who did it, and you let them sometimes like have an ice cream cone and sit there, and they blast everybody else, okay? And they're trying to make so that the team goes after that person and fixes it. Probably not the best practice, but that's what I saw. I saw that sometimes, okay? But don't be this leader. Don't be the leader that destroys everything around you, right, in an effort to get the one person to conform. Because maybe sometimes some leaders are too afraid to have a serious conversation. They're too afraid to have a serious conversation with the one person. And so instead they flame out on everybody and they create new policies blasting everybody. Okay? When in fact, it could be just a point target right to that person. And Kyle, I think it was Kyle, right? With this chainsaw, could have run right up to the girl who's the zombie and just zapped her one. Put the chainsaw right through her face. And that would have been easy. But no, he had to go and he had to kill Kenny. Bastard. So, all right. And if you guys like that, hold on tight. Because I really got a doozy for you guys. Okay? So you're going to have to really brace yourselves. Trust me. You got to brace yourselves right now. This is something. I'm not lying to you. This is something right now. La Diamond Dog, you might have seen this one before. Let's see. Let's check this out. Here we go. All right. Stand by. Seriously, you might want to be sitting down for this. You might want to be sitting down. I can't emphasize it enough. Here we go. I'm letting it rip.
Situé par rapport au public parce que la salle était grande. Je vous ai situé tout de suite.
Now, I just want to say really quickly, it doesn't matter what language they're speaking. You'll see why. Okay, what this is they're putting a group of people in the room that each have a very interesting laugh. Okay, and I'll take it from there. You don't even know what the hell they're saying. La Diamond Dog, you're gonna understand it completely. It's in French, but all right, let's go. Here we go.
Situé par rapport au public parce que la salle était grande. Je vous ai situé tout de suite. Mais c'est vrai qu'il a été hyper cool.
Mais vous vous êtes déjà fait examiner? C'est quand même curieux, un rire comme ça vient.
Non, c'est tout.
He's horrible. He's like the dumbest humor ever.
Non, c'est pas curieux, le rire. Le rire, c'est de l'air
This is
qui
real.
passe au niveau du larynx. Et c'est vrai que je dois avoir un larynx plus ou moins...
Même à imiter, c'est impossible.
They can't stop.
Il vous a Après, moi, quand je suis partie aussi. Hein. Il vous a déjà mis dans des difficultés pas possibles. Non, du pib, ça fait du bien quand même de rigoler.
Tellement bien.
Donc,
It gets worse.
je repose ma question. On ne tient plus la poule. Il vous Il y a la poule et la mouette qui s'y mettent, on est mal. Et que l'accent est reparti. Nassima!
All right, you get the picture. You get the picture of this one. Who's ever seen this before? Who's ever seen something like this? I've never seen anything like this. My girlfriend sent it to me and I was dying. She showed it to me. I was about to fall out of my chair. I said, I got to use this. Yeah, I don't know, Nick. Oh, did you see it? Okay. Well, I got another one here. Yeah. All right. If you think that one's good, wait, I got something else for you. I got another one. All right. Weirdest laugh ever. Again, it doesn't matter what language they're speaking. Doesn't matter. Watch. Here we go. All right. Here we go, everybody.
גמר שרשרת הצחוק הערב זה קורה, יוכתר כאן, אלה הפיינליסטים, הזוכה הגדול בגמר, ואנחנו מבקשים לכם בינתיים לא לצחוק כדי לא לפרק לנו פה את האולפן. ידעתי. לא עכשיו, שנייה. זה אמיתי רבותיי, זה הצחוק של האיש. לא, שנייה.
This is so stupid.
בוא שב.
I can't even breathe. Okay. Well, there you have it. We've stooped to new lows on this show. We've gotten to new levels on this show, everybody. Oh my God. I can't even see. I'm laughing so hard. That's absolutely nuts. I don't know. I at first thought maybe he was, he had some issue. I thought maybe he was, mentally handicapped, but he wasn't. He could speak totally fine. Yes. We've reached new levels on this show, and you guys have my girlfriend to thank because she showed me. Oh my God. I know, Lisa, I couldn't stop laughing. I was dying. Honestly, like even before, and I was teeing this up for the show, she came in here, my girlfriend came in here, I was shaking. I was shaking uncontrollably. Like I couldn't even do the work and get this thing ready. Oh my God, everybody. Well, that is what we got for tonight for everyone. And stay tuned for next week. We will be back at Fridays at 6 p.m., okay? This was our special Halloween edition. I really appreciate all of you being here tonight. Hopefully you had some good laughs there and had a good time. Hopefully you also took something away from the Tim Burton story. Again, you guys can message me on Instagram anytime. Please like, comment, subscribe if you're not subscribed. Okay, if you're watching the replay, please subscribe. It helps the channel because I'm going to try and get interviews here very soon. We're going to start interviewing people, bringing them on the show, interviewing them, and bringing it to the channel. And the more you guys like, the more you guys comment, the more you subscribe, the more I have a chance to get people here and attract them here, and it'll help the channel out to grow for us to spread our mission of helping other people to improve their lives and make their lives better, and also give us all some laughs too. Laughing is therapeutic. It's very important for you. It's good to do the work and be intense and be getting after it, but you got to laugh and you got to enjoy life a bit as well too. So again, guys, it helps as well if you comment after I post it. So not just in the chat, but afterwards, please put a comment in there. You can give us some feedback, give me some feedback on how things are going and what you want to see as well too. Let me know. But I appreciate you guys all being here. I'll hang out for a couple minutes and cover any questions you have in the chat right now, but hopefully you enjoyed that. I can't stop laughing because it's absolutely nuts. All right, we will see you all, and see you tomorrow if you're taking off. But any questions? Let me see. That's right. That is what people are doing. You're right. That's on beach week in August and July down at the beach. People are doing. I don't know how it's possible to laugh like that. It's absolutely nuts. Have a good one, Becky. Take care. Happy Halloween. All right, any questions, guys? Any questions? I will answer them now. We'll hang out for a couple minutes. That's the best. If you can make people laugh with your laugh, that's a great time right there. How much fun. Hey, thanks, Mark. I appreciate that, Mark. Thank you so much. It means a lot. Again, everybody, please put a comment in the comment section once the video is uploaded or afterwards, not just in the chat. It's going to help out the algorithm, help the channel out. I think so, Steve. I think it'll hit 150. I think right now there's a little bit of a crypto slowdown because of the Fed made an announcement that it's not a foregone conclusion that they're going to do a rate cut again this year, but I still think Bitcoin will hit 150 by the end of the year. That's what I think. I mean, you've seen it. This thing can jump up 15,000 in 2 or 3 days or in a day. And then after that, with the institutional investors out there, people are still pouring money into Bitcoin. There's a good reason to believe it's going to hit 150. I think that's still a conservative estimate from a lot of the analysts out there. I think 200 is a very bullish outlook. 175 is bullish as well, but I think 150, 140, 150, that's still a conservatively optimistic, conservatively bullish outlook, right? And I think, we're at the bear right now. From what I've heard, for bear outlook is right around 100,000. So we've hit that 100 to 110. But I think Bitcoin is gonna go. Just hang in there. If you got some right now, hang in there. Don't sell. Just wait. Okay. Okay. Yeah, my pleasure, Diamond Dog. I'm glad you liked it. Yeah, tomorrow's Halloween. Toussaint. And any advice for longer sleep? Okay, let's see here. So I would say this. It just depends. If are you doing a keto diet? If you're doing a keto diet, sometimes you can't sleep, right? You have no carbs, right? So I know for me personally, if I have carbs, I'm going to sleep, okay? I smashed some carbs last night, and I slept like a baby. I was knocked out, okay? So sometimes, if you're not getting enough carbs, if you're totally keto, it might make you, you might have good quality sleep, but it might just not that long, like 6 hours, maybe 7 hours. Everyone's different. First of all, a couple things. Sleep hygiene. Let's talk about sleep hygiene. You want to make sure you're not having any caffeine probably 5 to 6 hours before your bedtime. So if you're going to bed let's say you're going to bed at midnight, you shouldn't have any caffeine past, I would say, 5 p.m. That should be your last sip of caffeine around 5 p.m., okay? You got to be clean, because even a little minor amount of caffeine can cause you to stay awake, okay? And my pleasure, Diamond Dog. Thank you. And so I think even a small amount of caffeine can cause you to stay awake. The next thing is this. Exercise helps. If you're doing cardiovascular or hard workout later in the evening, it could cause you to be stimulated and stay awake. All right. So get your workouts done early. I would say earlier in the day if you can. Early evening, afternoon, morning. I wouldn't do late evening. I think that can pump you up, especially if you're taking a pre-workout. Forget it. You're going to be up all night. The next thing is this, alcohol. If you're drinking alcohol, and I cover all this in my Ferocious Optimist coaching membership and community as well too, guys. By the way, this is one big thing we work on is sleep. We work on human performance, your performance as a business athlete, okay? And the business is whatever business you're in, okay? If you are an actual athlete, we work on that too. But whether you're an artist, a manager, a leader, a business owner, small business owner, whatever it is, an executive, you got to treat yourself like a business athlete, okay? And you got to protect your sleep, protect your nutrition, get enough hydration. Breathe, breathe, breathe. I work on breathing techniques with my clients all the time, okay? And we do it in the Ferocious Optimist community and membership as well too. Session 4 back in July of this past year was on deep breathing techniques. So again, I'm a machine. Sleep hygiene is very important. Don't have alcohol closer than, it shouldn't, like if you go to bed at midnight, your cutoff time for drinking alcohol has got to be 9 p.m. Because from 9 p.m. to 10 p.m., you got to have a 2-hour period to let the alcohol burn out of your system. Otherwise, what happens is this. The alcohol, especially wine, for example, will cause a spike in your blood sugar. When your blood sugar spikes, then it wakes you up at night. You might even ride that buzz, right? You get that buzz feeling. You might ride it to bed, but it's going to be what keeps you awake. You're going to keep awake from it. It's going to wake you up and take you out of the deep sleep rhythms, right? When your blood sugar is low, you can stay in those deep sleep rhythms and not come up out of it. But you're going to come up out into restless sleep if you have the blood sugar being spiked from alcohol. That's what it does. So sleep hygiene is very important. This is going to help you to sleep better. When you sleep better, you perform better. Okay? You're going to be able to think better, problem solve better. You're going to feel less anxiety, less stress, all those things like that. So it's one of the first things I work on with my clients, and I really get on them and monitor on them, especially my one-on-one clients all the way. In the membership, the Ferocious Optimist community and membership, we work on this as well too. There are presentations in there about sleep, okay, and about breathing. And you'll have all the tools and techniques you need if you join my community and membership. And if you work with me one-on-one, I will teach you the ways, young Jedi, of sleeping better, okay? Very much so. Hopefully that helps. Does that help? Okay. So the swim and the lift could be what's keeping you up on the machine. It could be what's keeping you up. So especially if you take any caffeine in for it, I would just say whenever your bedtime is, try to make sure that you're not, I would say probably 3 hours before that, you want to finish your lift or your swim. Okay, just because I know for me, if I do cardio at night, I'm amped up. I'm not going to sleep on my usual time. Okay, so I try to exhaust myself earlier in the day. So then when sleep time comes, I'm ready to crash and I'm tired. Okay, good. Hopefully that helps. Okay. As a lady, and you wake up and you feel like you're working out in your sleep. If you don't, yeah, exactly. You have to force carbs. I agree with you. Sometimes when I was doing like more of a paleo diet, like the keto, paleo, caveman diet, and no carbs at all, I couldn't sleep. So I would have to eat a slice of bread to fall asleep. I'm carb sensitive like that, and it definitely it hits me in different ways. Yeah, that's super important for sleep, definitely. But if you're carb sensitive, and let's say if you're very lean, if you're naturally very lean already, like you're not trying to cut weight, you're already a very lean person, maybe you're trying to gain weight, then you might want to have a little bit of carbs, before bed. Don't overdo it, because then again, if you eat too late as well, that'll keep you up. Your blood sugar will spike. And on top of that, you have indigestion. You might have acid reflux. You could choke. All these things can happen for real, okay? You could choke and die on your food if you're not careful, okay? So definitely acid reflux is a real thing. If you eat too late, that can happen as well too, all right? And again, we talk about all this stuff in my coaching membership and my community, so please check it out. The link is in the bio. It's also at benpappas.com, www.benpappas.com. All my stuff is there as well too. You can check it out on Instagram in my bio, YouTube in my bio, and you can always email me at, my email address is ben@benpappas.com, and I will get back to you. Let's see. There's a lot of sugar everywhere. Carbs, like pasta, is not good. Yeah, I think you want to have that pasta, I would say probably 3 hours before bed at the latest, maybe 4 hours. You don't want to get acid reflux. You don't want it to mess you up. I just think it's too much, and it'll definitely hurt you. So, yeah, I think that's smart. Any other questions, guys? Any other questions before we get ready for our Halloween festivities tomorrow? Yeah, that was some pretty funny stuff. Definitely some pretty funny stuff. I was dying. I literally, the first time I saw it, I think I was at dinner, and at the dinner table, my girlfriend showed it to me. I literally couldn't stop laughing. Like it's one of those times when you're a kid and you're cracking up and you shouldn't be. And I couldn't catch my breath. It just hit me. And I thought, I got to share this. I got to share this to you guys. I'm glad you liked it. All right, everybody. Enjoy yourselves. Like I always say, make yourselves better, make the world better. Have an amazing, amazing weekend. I will see you all Sunday at 4 p.m. And then next Friday, as always, Fridays at 6 p.m. This was just our special Halloween edition because tomorrow night I could not do it. So believe in yourselves. I believe in you. And remember, like I always say, go get yours. This is your time. Let's go. I'll see you all on Sunday. Thanks for coming, guys. Take care. Enjoy Halloween.